Let's talk about the national spirits in Millenia because they are the bread and butter in this game. They are one of the most important choices you can make. And yes, we will have a video for every national spirit. What does it do? How good is it really? And you will find that out in the different videos. This one is for H2. And yes, that means we will have a video for H4, H6, and last but not least, H8. And before we are jumping now into the national spirits, let me make two things very clear here. First things first, it comes always down to the situation you are in your playthrough right now. Like sometimes you might think, okay, ancient seafarers is the way to go, but then you are in the situation where you want to expand or where you want to defend yourself, so you might want to go with warfare instead, right? So please make sure when you choose a national spirit, you're aware of your surroundings and you're aware of what is actually happening or what might be happening in your playthrough. Secondly, please make also sure that you can actually accumulate the points you need to push the national spirit further. I have seen people going for the raiders and then they are not aggressive, they are not taking over stuff, and they are not accumulating the warfare points, and it was a complete waste of their time and power those national spirits are bringing to the table. So with that said, let's jump into the national spirits. First, we have the ancient seafarers. They're pretty straightforward. You have water around you, you have a lot of fish there. This is probably the national spirit you want to choose. You will also get shells, which you don't know if there are enough shells around you or not, so it's completely random. But shells are also giving you a nice economic boost because they give you gold. Also, you can improve the docks, which will give you some production. The early increases for battleships is not that important. It's nice to have, but it is what it is. The really important part here is the utility ships, right? Everyone gets utility ships. You would just get them much, much cheaper. And utility ships allow you to harvest resources on the water without being in the borders of your city. And they will then transport the resources to the closest city nearby. So they're super powerful to accumulate a lot of food, a lot of money early on, even though you do not have the range of your city normally. And that leads us to the Naturalists. I'm sorry, I don't know why they exist. The Naturalists make no sense. They are just national spirits, which are always better, and they don't really bring anything to the table, especially later on in later ages. They completely fall off. Yes, sure, they give you some food and all that, but this is all going for unimproved tiles. So what they are saying is, do not use your improvement points to improve the tiles, which is not really what you want to do. You accumulate improvement points relatively easy, especially if you have built some buildings for that, and this is just completely falling off. The only thing which might be good is the -10 forest move cost adjustment, so that means you are spending less movement points when you are inside a forest, and that was more or less it. Yes, the X3 defense and forest for defenders could have been amazing, right? But this is only for warbands. Like, this is the first military unit you have, so it doesn't really help you there. Like, I'm sorry, the Naturalist is completely useless in my opinion, and it needs a rework or a buff, especially when we are talking about some of the nations later on. You will realize very quickly how powerful they are in comparison to the Naturalists. And that leads us to number 3, the Wild Hunters. They're the first really good one, as long as you have hunting grounds nearby, aka deers. And then you will reveal elephants. Again, this is completely random. I had playthroughs where I had like 3 or 4 elephants near my city, and that was great. And then I had a playthrough where I had exactly 1 elephant nearby, and that was it, right? You cannot really control that. But what you can control is how many deer hunting grounds you have nearby, and the more you have, the better the wild hunters become. They can become really, really good, especially with the improvement points, and more importantly, they give you the bow hunters. The bow hunters are the strongest range unit up till the Age of Kings. They lose a little bit of steam when you are entering the Iron Age, till you are getting hunting grounds, which will increase the attack and defense again for those bow hunters, and then they can actually keep up with the other archers. So keep that in mind. They're actually the strongest hunter or bow units till the Age of Kings. So super good if you have deers nearby. That's very important. And that leads us to the raiders. You love them or you hate them. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground. Like some people absolutely hate it. I love them because they are the Zerg. You are just quantity over quality. You don't care when you lose a raider band. You don't care when you lose like 2 armies by attacking a city, because you can produce so much raiders that it doesn't really matter, right? And that's what you want to do. The moment you're choosing the raiders, you choose to be aggressive. You are attacking neutral cities. You are attacking other players. I managed to kill off 1 to 2 players till the end of the Iron Age, thanks to the raiders. So keep that in mind. But again, they die. Don't think too much about it. Like, you just throw them at the enemy and that's good. The only downside of this is there's only one thing you take with you to the next ages, and that is getting warfare XP from combat through units, which is fine. That's a good thing to have. I love it. It gives you quite a bit, but that is the only thing you are taking with you when you are going beyond age 2 and age 3. So keep that in mind. On the opposite spectrum is the warriors. The warriors are quality over quantity, and they are really, really strong when you have to defend some cities. Like, you can have 1 or 2 warriors in one city and it's becoming an impregnable fortress, right? You cannot get in there. This is how strong they become. And I have never lost a city when I had a warrior in there. That doesn't, by the way, mean that you cannot use the warriors to attack your enemy. They can be really strong in armies, and I have managed to take over another civilization between the Bronze and the Iron Age thanks to the warriors. And again, they are really, really strong. One thing you are taking with you, and which is also really strong even later on, is Call Reserves, which is a domain power and which allows you to fully heal an army in friendly territory. That's important. I know there is another one which is Reinforcements, which is doing a similar thing, but keep in mind it only heals, I think, 50% or so of your health. So this is definitely stronger, but you have to be in friendly territory. Now, let's talk about the God King Dynasty. The God King Dynasty loves stone. You have a lot of rock formations around you, a lot of hills, a lot of mountains, and you expect that there's a lot of stone there. This is the specialization you want to go with. Like, they're completely thriving on this, right? Like, they are lowering the construction cost for stone walls, construction costs for quarries, and they allow you to build the pyramids. What are the pyramids? The pyramids are a tile improvement you can build in once per region, and they will give you 4 influence and 1 culture each. And then you can even upgrade one of the pyramids into pyramid tombs, and they will do the same thing as before, but this time they give you 2 culture and 1 government per turn. So it's pretty strong, especially, as I said, if you have a lot of limestone and rocks lying around. The God King Dynasty is great if you want production. Like, you will have so much production, you can just like create units in 1 or 2 turns. It's insane how good it works if you have the rocks around you. So keep that in mind. Now that leads us to the next one, the Mound Builders. One of the most insane social spirits in Age 2. No, seriously. Like, the mound builders are crazy. You will get burial mounds, which is, again, an improvement you can put down on a tile. And that will give you culture and later on sanitation, right? And what is far more important is that the construction cost for farms will be reduced by 50%. You also get a region level, and you will expand much faster into grassland. Keep in mind that grassland is already the tile you expand the fastest into, and now they are even increasing that. So you will have a huge empire very quickly. On top of that, and this is the craziest part of all, 50% food needed per population. That means, I know this is a little bit worded here, you need 50% less food for every population in your nation. 50%. It is so strong that I expect at some point that they will actually nerf this. I'm waiting that they're nerfing this down to 40 or 35% or something like that, because it is so strong. And this is active through all the ages. So again, in my opinion, the mound builders are insane, because you can also have like 20 people living in a city by the end of the Iron Age, or even more if you were really lucky. And they just give you so many improvement points, so many people you can then just utilize to get all the other things that I feel they are a little bit too strong, in my opinion. And that leads us to the Olympians. The gambler choice, in my opinion. Olympians can be absolutely fantastic, or they can be absolutely useless. It really comes down to how many friends you more or less make in age 2 and age 3. And I say that because age 2 or age 3 are the ages where a lot of the nations are very aggressive, and they are trying to take as much territory as possible. There are a lot of wars going on. And so trying to make friends with the Olympians to then have the Olympian Games is not that easy. And again, the Olympian Games are really, really powerful. They can give you a lot of different XP you can then choose, and they are fantastic, but you have to get the people together. The Hippodrome is also a tile improvement you can get, which is kind of nice. It gives you one culture, right? But it also suppresses the unrest by 12, which is quite a lot. Keep in mind, though, this is only limited to one per nation, so you can only build this once. But yeah, like opening negotiations with 2 different nations, the Olympic Games event can now generate another additional 30 knowledge, which is crazy at the beginning, or wealth. If you can make it happen that you actually get 2 other nations into your Olympian Games, it's insane how many resources you can farm. If you cannot do that, well, unfortunately, they're pretty useless then. So keep that in mind. But with that said, we are at the end of the age 2 national spirits. As I said before, for me personally, the mound builders are the strongest. But it comes down again to what is happening in your playthrough, right? So if you still have some questions, or you have some own ideas on some of the national spirits you love to use, let me know down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and also subscribe to the channel for more Millenia videos, and more importantly, more strategy game videos, because that's what we are focusing on here on the Mole Under Management channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Stay safe.